It's not easy living through death at such a young age. It matures you fast. In some ways, it stripped away my innocence. From then on, the colourful outlook I had on life had permanently dulled to a darker hue. Life doesn't magically fall back to normal at the end of each episode. Sometimes the heroes don't save the day. Sometimes you just have to grow up. Something that triggered this desire to delve into my childhood hard drive was a hobby I picked up a few weeks ago. When the mood takes me, I like to walk the woods of my youth, though I no longer hunt cryptids. There's something nostalgic about these trees, untouched by civilization. They lived through everything, no matter what petty happenings fall upon our, in comparative, short lives. There's a big difference between watching my old videos of us walking the trails and actually doing it. Blood rushes around your body, stimulating oneself to a dopamine high. The smells are euphoric, really bringing me closer to nature. The air is clean, no pollution to stain your breath. My friends are not here to enjoy these walks through time, but I still carry them in spirit, living through the fond memories we forged in our youth. Though sometimes I wonder, do I really enjoy these walks? Because afterwards, I ache. Time hasn't been kind to me. I don't enjoy my sinuses getting clogged up from all the pollen. I don't enjoy the views of nature as I once had. Instead, I'm often focusing elsewhere. I subconsciously keep a vigilant eye, scanning the area for something. I'm never relaxed. Sometimes I think to myself, am I tricking myself into going in the woods to secretly look for answers? The open clearing where the final plan went down has shrank a bit since my childhood. Overgrowth is slowly claiming back the free land. Eventually, it'll all be swallowed up, and the memories here will be erased by time. It's hard to remember which bush Martin and I laid in as we watched James before he disappeared. It's here where I sit down, close my eyes, take a large, deep breath through my nose, and let the memories take over and play in my head. The first lie of the story was that using James as bait wasn't the original plan. It was meant to be me. The pitched idea was for me to act vulnerable in the clearing, a spot that Martin had found some time prior, and for him and James to wait in the bush with the camera. However, even though it was Martin's idea, he was outvoted when we settled that I was the better cameraman and James was the better actor. I was the one who always used the camera, which is why I had all the files. So we never knew why he suggested things the way he did. But we soon rectified the plan to how we thought things should go, much to Martin's protests. We spent the day working on camouflage. We never had any references to real ghillie suits. We just spitballed the idea of concealing ourselves with foliage. Dressed in our best olive and green tone clothes, Martin and I stood as James dressed us in tape and branches. After a bit of face paint, we were set to completely turn invisible in the woods. The camouflage wasn't just good in our minds either. This was one of the few successful things we had ever done. If we stayed still enough, James couldn't see us at all, despite us having a good view of him. This bolstered our enthusiasms, and we pushed on with the idea, confident that we'd finally have some success. James and I waited in the bushes, talking in our hushed tones. In the cartoons, characters could somehow talk to each other and never get seen, and we had the idea that we could do the same. We giggled at how funny it felt, watching our friend as he had no sight of us. The fun and games ramped on as we slowly started to forget about the objective. Our attention back then was as bad as you can imagine. But suddenly, our conversation grinded to a halt when we heard a sound. Adrenaline shot through us, and Martin and I had the fleeting feeling that this was our chance. I tried to slowly pull out my camera, trying not to make any sudden moves, but something slowed me down. The sounds wasn't just heading in our general area. They were coming directly towards Martin and I. We looked into the whites of each other's eyes. This was our only way of seeing each other. It was our only comfort, as our overwhelming confidence very quickly melted into a feeling we had never truly experienced to that point. Fear. Seeing each other was all we could do, lest we move and alert whatever was approaching to our position. I can only liken our comforting stares to each other as mentally holding hands, a comfort that settles tensions when you're young. The footsteps approached, creaking on twigs and leaves. Each step was crunchier than the last as it got closer and closer. Another sound picked up above the footsteps. James had started acting out, singing la 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 la, in a way like he was purposefully trying to sound inconspicuous. The metaphoric, innocent whistling you see when hijinks ensue. Whether he was trying to play the part as bait, or if he thought the sneaking sounds was us and he tried to play along, I don't know. The footsteps got so close as to almost brush past my head. I was facing away, but I could see Martin's eyes widen. I knew whatever it was real. And whatever it was, it sent the fear of God through Martin. The last things we heard was all signs of subtlety leave, as the figure, only inches away from me, let out an angry and frustrated grunt. The figure dashed towards James, and all too quickly we heard the high-pitched scream of true terror. We were kids. We had always felt invincible up until that point. When watching cartoons, no matter how bad things got, everything always worked out. In our heads, this was no exception. When Martin and I ran, we confidently felt we were going to get to safety, and somehow James would reconvene, having an amazing tale of escape to share. We made it to a usual meeting point, and we waited. We waited longer than felt comfortable. Then, dinner time rolled around, and we knew we had to go home. At worst, we felt James had gone home, a little scared than how our usual play ended. I couldn't eat when I got home, and I was barely an hour into bedtime when my parents woke me. In a roundabout way, they asked if I knew what happened to James. I stupidly told them no, that I thought he got home okay. I said it not as a lie, but as a prayer, with my whole heart behind it. I felt if I believed enough, he would be okay. A foolish dream. At this, my parents left in concern. It wasn't long until the police were involved. They questioned me, at first gently, then rigorously about what happened. My story kept the same, that there's a monster in the woods, a cryptid, Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, something. We were hunting it as a group. We wanted to document its existence. That we ran when we saw the monster, and I thought we all made it out. Each time they asked, they always got the same response to their frustration. They talked about putting out a search. that there was possibly a missing kid in the woods. But suddenly, the mood of the room changed. One of the officers got a call, and afterwards had the other officers leave. It came out that Martin confessed that he attacked James in the woods. He confirmed that he acted alone. Because of this, I was never deemed complicit in the case, only considered a witness. He talked about his reasons, the reasons that became widely publicized and talked about. He became a local legend, a hero to those with a small voice, the fear that made people think twice about bullying others. Martin led some officers to the spot where it all happened, and they found traces of blood. After testing, it was revealed to be the DNA of James. I was confused. Why would Martin lie like that? Why did he take the fall? I was so young. I never fully understood what he truly did for me. He made it so only one of us was punished for our mistake. He took the fall so we didn't have to. Yet, I will never know his reasons why, because only days after Martin was apprehended, he was found dead in his holding cell. It was overwhelmingly identified as suicide.